the thawabit, things that cannot be tampered with. But again, some people, for some reason or the other, are seeking to re-establish a totally new Islam. No consideration is given to what is permanent and what is dynamic or changeable. Everything is subject to their own whims. Not only this, we find another example when the leaders, the rich people, the big shots, as we call them today, around the Pharaoh, when they were instigating him against Musa and his people, he says, are you going to leave these people to corrupt on earth, to corrupt the earth, to do corruption? So the call of Tawheed that is taught by Musa alayhi salam and those sincere followers of him is corruption. So remember when I said facts are put upside down, Tawheed is corruption, and their corruption is good, is reform. Then one before last, the consequences, the fourth point, the consequences of Fassad. The Quran again is quite clear on this, that Fassad is a big crime. That's why the angels were quite perceptive and regarded that as the first fear they expressed. Man yufsidu fiha. It's a very serious one. And the punishment must be of the same nature, the eternal punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran again, those who rejected faith and tried to turn people away from the path of Allah, the propaganda, the attacks on prophets, their teaching and all of this, زِدْنَاهُمْ عَذَابًا فَوْقَ الْعَذَابِ, Allah will increase the punishment for them in the hereafter many folds because of their fasad. But the punishment also is in this life, some of which happen, some of which is threatened. One example of this is the people of Fir'aun, as we find in Surah Al-Fajr, that they become very arrogant, became tyrannical on earth, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described that they aktharu fiyat, that they exceedingly made fasad on this earth, and that's why they have their punishments. There is also a threatened punishment, something that happened in the past and could repeat itself, and that's the purpose behind the stories of the Quran. It's not story for entertainment. There's always hadaf, purpose behind the stories in the Quran. So it says in the Surah Al-Isra that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined the Israelites, and of course when we say Israel, we say only the mufsids among them. Again, we're not stereotyping about everyone. That you will do lots of fasad on this earth twice, and you will reach heights of power twice. But then it says, وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا. After the Quran described how they were punished in the past, those transgressors, if you continue to transgress because you abuse the power that you have, and you think that you are impregnable, that nobody can stand you, and the world is turning the other cheek and the other eye even from all the crimes and acts of terror that you're committing, عُدْنَا, we will come back to punish you. So this is a lesson that those who might think that they have reached the ultimate of power and control, that there is one who controls them and controls the whole universe, and sooner or later, Allah is adil, Allah is just. They will face the consequences of what they did. The punishment could be here on earth, even in the legal sense, like the punishment for haraba, because again, يَسْعَوْنَ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَسَادًا, because of corruption also on earth. Finally, one quick word. What is our duty and responsibility living in a world that has these various layers and forms and degrees of fasad on the matter of belief, morality, action in the variety of aspects of human life on this earth? Our duty to start with is to join together, as mentioned earlier. The division among Muslims is a disaster for the world, not only for them. That's one, to cooperate together. Secondly, to do our best to correct the wrong that other people are doing, as best as you can. And this has been praised in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, among the greatest people in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who try to reform or correct what other people, or what corruption other people have introduced. And also it reminds us in the Quran that we should not despair. How many 6 million Muslims in North America can do? What can I do in an ocean of corruption? No, we do our duty in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seeking His reward, and it is not our responsibility to see the results with our own eyes. For example, one ayah in the Quran speak about that situation where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that had it not been that there were a few people in the past, ulu baqiyya, a few, who used to stop corruption or stop fasad, it say except the few that we saved. And some of the mufassirin, the exegetists on the Quran say that actually this means that the few, no matter how much, how many, those who at least spoke up against fasad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ultimately saved them. And that means if they failed to do that, they would have been also punished with their people. And we conclude with a good news for those who might try what may appear to others as the impossible, to try to do their best, to put the seed even after their death even, to grow, of reforming earth and resisting various forms of corruption or fasad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes those people and says, the hereafter, meaning paradise, the dar, the abode of paradise, we will make it, Allah says, for those who are not seeking arrogance on earth, or fasad, under any excuse. Like we do not, or no one fil ardi wala fasada, and it says finally, the ultimate result, ultimate positive bliss is for those who are muttaqeen, who are Allah conscious. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all